Hello and welcome if you're new to my channel, and if you're a subscriber, a warm welcome back. In this video, I'm going to be talking about handbags, and in particular, handbags are at the super premium level of luxury. I have an ongoing series, which this video is part of, the hierarchy of handbags, where I have been talking about some of the best luxury brands at each level of luxury. There are 7 levels of luxury, so from your everyday all the way through to your bespoke luxury products and services. And at each level, I have recommended some of the best brands. I'm now towards the top. I'm focused on super premium in this video. Above that is ultra high end, and then the very top, your bespoke. And in this video, I have 6 brands that I'm going to be talking about. I'm Anisu Sagonda, and I produce educational content geared towards people who are typically new to money or keen to explore alternate mid-lux or super brands that are a little under the radar but still heavily weighted on quality. My first brand is an Italian brand called Bottega Veneta. And Bottega Veneta I first mentioned in my first ever handbag video, which I'm going to attach above. And I mentioned how Bottega Veneta was one of the first brands that came onto my radar when I discovered this whole world of luxury. And what really stood out about Bottega were 2 things. Firstly, the designs. I liked the timeless, the classical, elegant element to them. There were no fuss. They were the type of designs I liked personally and could see myself carrying one of their handbags, but I could also see my grandmother carrying one of their handbags. They were timeless, they were ageless. But the other thing was just the very discreet nature of their products. There were no monograms, no logos, and it was all about the signature weave called an intrecciato. And over the years, they've modified various bags and done different variations of this intrecciato. Now, Bottega is a very interesting story when it comes to luxury, particularly now. They're going through a phenomenal period. And going back to my the video I did last week where I was talking about part 2 of Premium Core, which I'm going to attach above, I talked about luxury at the top end of the market and loosely how it works. Now, Bottega is an interesting one because it's owned by the second biggest luxury group in the world. It's called Kering. It's second to Louis Vuitton, Moet Hennessy. Kering has about 12 brands in its portfolio, so they're spread across fashion, jewelry, and watches and leather goods. Now, what you get with when you have a luxury group is they own a number of brands, and by owning those brands, they're able to help them grow and develop a lot better than they could do on their own. So, for example, they centralize capabilities, for example, purchasing power, access to advertising, to technology, economies of scale. They also give them access to capital. They give them access to an exclusive network of amazing suppliers. And they also give them access, for example, to some of the best professional talent in the industry, so they can afford to hire some of the best creative directors, for example. And a creative director essentially makes or breaks a brand. So what's happened with Bottega is for the last 20 years prior to 2018, they had Thomas Maier running the brand, and he built it very successfully into a brand that was very much respected for its discreet, chic, minimalist, timeless, high quality products. And then 2018, they hired a new creative director from Celine. This was announced in June of 2018, and his name is Daniel Lee. And Daniel Lee literally arrived at Bottega, and he shook Bottega. Bottega was like a big, massive giant that was just lying in the back, enjoying the sun and enjoying life and doing a good job of life. But he literally came and shook this giant. And in shaking this giant, Bottega almost got up. And as the giant was staggering, trying to figure out what's going on, but with each stagger, every product that Daniel Lee produced through Bottega, just as he started, went on to become very successful. So he had the pouch, and then he had the cassette bag. He also had the Arco bag, and then he introduced various pairs of shoes, sandals and shoes that were in the intrecciato. They were thick, they were padded, and they were square-toed. Everything he did phenomenally well, and this was on the back of the access to capital, to professional expertise, to the exclusive network of suppliers that Bottega had through Kering. And the particular bag that I'm going to introduce for the hierarchy is well below the financial boundaries of how much a bag typically costs within the super premium. It will be between £3,000 to £5,000. But the particular bag, the pouch that I would like to put forward as number 6 in the hierarchy, falls short by over £1,000, around 2,000 for a simple pouch, medium-sized, black, in leather. But the pouch has been the most successful, the best selling bag for Kering as an entire group. That speaks volumes. When the pouch was introduced, it just went insane. It sold out, and even the waiting list sold out. And with each season, they've introduced variations. So they've added a big gold chain to it, they've added tassels, they've added different materials and so forth. But it's been the most successful bag for Kering, and to me that in itself was worth a mention. Because also in Kering is Gucci, and Gucci has been one of the best all-time luxury brands. But Daniel Lee came in, and what's very interesting about Daniel Lee is he's a young millennial. He's mid-30s, and it was only a couple of days ago, whilst I was putting together this video, I suddenly thought, I've been assuming Daniel Lee is Chinese. I need to find out, is he Chinese or what is he? And he's actually British, born in Bradford, but he is the only creative director I have ever heard of who has no social media presence at all. And for an industry where it thrives a lot on social media, on influencers talking about products, on advertising, your slick marketing campaigns that I mentioned in last week's video, which I'm going to attach above, it is amazing. And Daniel has said he has no interest in the celebrity life. He just wants to come in and do a good job of just maintaining the status quo. He's built up Bottega, taken it from a brand that was doing well but very much under the radar to literally catapulting it right to the front of the fashion pack. So my recommendation is definitely the pouch, but also noteworthy and brands that would typically fit very comfortably within the 3,000 to 5,000 would be your shoulder bags. There's also the tote bag, the kabat. You have a new range he introduced, the Arco, and I'd also throw into that the cassette bag. But the cassette bag is under 3,000, but it's also worth mentioning because it's a beautiful, thick, padded bag that works very well as an evening purse. Comes in one size and in a whole range of different colors, in suede, in leather, and also with a gold chain or a leather chain. There are just so many options, but there's nothing Bottega can do wrong. They cannot put a foot out of place. This is their moment, and they're doing phenomenally well. Number 5 in the hierarchy is a French brand called Christian Dior, and Christian Dior is owned by Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy, and the particular range I would like to recommend for the hierarchy is the Lady Dior. It's a range that was created in 1994 by the then creative director Gianfranco Ferm, and it was called Chouchou. Chouchou, like chérie, are the most common terms of endearment in the French language. And then in 1995, Bernadette Chirac, the then First Lady, presented Diana, Princess of Wales, with the bag on her visit to France. She liked the bag, wore it to a number of subsequent occasions, bought it in numerous colors, and then Christian Dior renamed it Lady Dior. It's a structured bag that comes in 4 sizes with a top zip, a whole melange of different colors, different finishes, and the black medium-sized bag retails for £3,700. Number 4 in the hierarchy is another French brand, but this one's privately owned. And I can only equate this particular brand, Goyard, to a child who is incredibly secretive, who's almost a little diffident, always hiding in the corner, doesn't want to play with anyone, doesn't want to look at anyone, doesn't want to share anything with anyone. That is Goyard to a T. A very competent brand in terms of the quality, in terms of the aesthetic of the brand, but they are fiercely secretive. They do not market their products. They prefer for information to be spread through word of mouth. They don't advertise. They do not publish a catalog of their products or prices online, and they don't sell any of their products online. Everything is done through their own stores. They make everything themselves in their workshops, and they very much control every single aspect of the brand. They do get involved in celebrity endorsements, but other than that, they do very little, and people come and flock, and that's all part of building the hype around the brand, that there's so little out there, people are clamoring for information. It's a brand that's very, very popular within the hip-hop and streetwear community. They do amazingly well. And they have a signature chevron print, a very distinct chevron print, and the most known bag, but it's not the one I'm recommending in the hierarchy, but it would have been wrong of me not to even mention it, because it is Goyard, is their tote, and it's called the Saint Louis tote. Goyard often says one of their main competitors is Louis Vuitton, and the Louis Vuitton Neverfull, which I mentioned in the hierarchy of handbags, the premium core part 2, which I'm going to attach above. The Neverfull tote, which is arguably the most popular tote from Louis Vuitton, is often pitted against the Goyard Saint Louis, but they're two very different totes. The Neverfull is bigger, it's thicker, the walls are rigid, and it's canvas, whereas the Goyard is a special resin coated linen, so it's a lot more flimsy. The walls don't stand up, they flop in, but essentially it is still a tote, and it's their best-selling tote. Comes in their signature black or the tan, but they also do other monogrammed designs in red, in green, in orange, in burgundy, and blue. And they're still just as sought after, but it's all done through the store. Very big on customer service, because they don't publish anything online. So when you come in, it's a whole immersive experience. You come in and the sales assistants really talk you through the brand. They take their time with you. You're never rushed, because they want to take care of everything. And they're very big on the whole personalization element, particularly looking at luxury. They want you to make the purchase. It's expensive, but they put a lot of emphasis on personalizing the gift, personalizing your purchase, so it's specific and personal to you. As I mentioned, they are very well known for their tote, the Saint Louis tote, but the bag I would like to recommend specifically for the hierarchy of handbags is the Saigon bag. And because they're very secretive, I wasn't able to find the most up-to-date price. I called, left a message, and managed to speak to someone the one time, and they said, we don't tell you anything over the phone. You need to actually come in, make an appointment, but it's not going to be possible with the pandemic. But I thought I'd hazard a guess based on historic prices from 2019, 2020. I would say the Saigon is priced between 4,000 and possibly 4,500 tops. I'm not too sure. If anyone knows, do let me know in the comments down below. Number 3 in the hierarchy is a Belgian brand called Delvaux. And Delvaux was founded in 1829. It's the oldest fine leather goods company in the world. And the particular range I'd like to recommend from Delvaux is their most iconic, the Brilliant. The Brilliant is a top handle bag with an adjustable removable strap. It has the iconic buckle, which is an inverted D. Bags are made from your calf grain leather, very much focused on your neutral colors. Everything is handmade, and 90% of the hides that they use are sourced from farms in France and Italy that process the hides specifically for Delvaux. Delvaux is a brand that very much operates under the radar. Understated quality, but it packs a mighty, mighty punch. No logos, no it bags, no splashy celebrity endorsements. They just focus on producing unique and exceptionally high quality bags. Also worth a punt alongside the Brilliant is Tempête. The Brilliant comes in 7 sizes, and the medium is priced at £4,200. Number 2 in the hierarchy is another French brand. It's Moynat. Moynat was founded in 1849, 4 years before Goyard, which was founded in 1853. A lot of the brands I've spoken about, we'll talk about in this video, are steeped in a lot of history. And that history, the heritage, is very much priced into the bag. That's why you're paying so much. There are a number of variables, and that heritage plays a big part in the price. Moynat is a brand that was specifically invested into by Bernard Arnault, the head of Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy, the largest luxury group I mentioned alongside Christian Dior. And he invested into it privately through Group Arnault as opposed to LVMH, because he wanted to build it up into a brand that would very confidently rival Hermès for quality and craftsmanship. If you remember in part 2 of the Premium Core, I spoke about Hermès and how it was flawless as a brand, but it has a competitor, and a very competent one, Moynat. If Hermès and Moynat were to be in a car, they would both be up front. Regardless of who's driving, they'd be alongside each other because they're on equal footing. There isn't one brand that's better than the other. What differentiates them is just the aesthetic. You choose what you like based on your taste, but in terms of quality of the leathers, the craftsmanship, you're getting an impeccable product. Moynat actually say there are 3 words to describe their products: excellence, elegance, and exclusivity. Exclusivity in terms of they still use the same craftsmanship techniques from the 19th century to date. Their sentiment is, why try and fix something that ain't broke? And those techniques take time. It's the same artisan from start to finish, but they also need to train people and make sure they uphold the consistency. That takes time. The elegance, the beauty of the designs, and the excellence in terms of the quality of the leathers they use and the overall product that they ultimately produce. Moynat is on a level, on par with Hermès. There are 2 particular ranges I'd like to recommend. A supporting range that does very well for Moynat, it's Gabrielle. But the range I'd like to recommend for the hierarchy specifically is Réjeanne. Réjeanne is their best-selling, their most iconic. It comes in 5 sizes, and the medium is priced at $4,250. But also worth getting on your radar, apart from just the handbag, is the Réjeanne Evening Clutch. It's just absolutely gorgeous in its simplicity. Number 1 in my hierarchy of handbags for your super premium is Chanel. Chanel was founded in 1909 by Coco Chanel, but now it is a privately run family business by the Werthemeyer brothers, Alain and Gerard. There are 2 ranges I'd like to recommend for the hierarchy. They are priced exactly the same, very subtle differences, but I can't recommend one without the other. The first is the original, most iconic bag for Chanel. It's the 2.55. It was created in February 1955 by Coco Chanel. And it was seen very much as a sign of rebellion because it was the first women's handbag with a shoulder strap. All along, women's handbags had been carried by hand. They had no straps or anything to carry them with. So it was a bit awkward, quite cumbersome to have this handbag which you carried and then you only had one free hand. So it was seen very much as a sign of freedom. You could do anything you wanted with your hands. It was also very fashion forward at that time to have the strap. And she created a bag that had a number of other elements to it. So the inside has the maroon lining to it, and that was in ode to the orphanage where Coco Chanel grew up, the color of the uniform that they wore at the orphanage. And there's also a zipped, secretive compartment, and rumor has it she was having an illicit affair, and that is where she kept all her love letters tucked away there. But the 2.55 is priced at $5,550, and there's 7 sizes. There's also another bag which is a version of the 2.55. It's called, the most commonly known as the classic flap, but it's called the 11.12. It was a bag that was modified. The 2.55 was modified when Karl Lagerfeld joined Chanel in 1983, and he put his own unique twist on the 2.55. All along, the 2.55 had the Mademoiselle lock, which was just a very simple lock, and they named it the Mademoiselle because Coco was never married, didn't have children. But the new bag, the updated version of it, the classic flap by Karl Lagerfeld, had the iconic CC, which you see on a lot of their bags. That's the modification he made when he came in. But what he also did is in 2005, on the 2.55's 50th anniversary, he created a reissue version of the bag. The only difference was the production time and also the fabric he used. It still had the Mademoiselle look, but the fabric had a more vintage, worn look to it. But the classic flap and also the 2.55 come in 7 size options. The medium for both is priced at 5,550. So depending on whether you like the Mademoiselle lock or the iconic CC, then you can choose whichever one you like for number 1 for the iconic. It's entirely up to you. But all the bags featured in this video very much work for season to season, year to year, and they can be passed down the generations over the years. They're very well made in terms of the material, the craftsmanship. It's amazing. But if it was entirely down to me and not determined by price as I did for ease, I would actually have Moynat as number 1. To me, Moynat represents everything that luxury is. The quality of the material, the craftsmanship, the detail in the work, how they make the bags, the material, the level of service, the customer service you get at the brand. It's exemplary. It's what luxury is at the very top end of the market. But it's not up to me, but Moynat is very much a brand you need to get on your radar. It's on the up. A lot more people are noticing it. More so people who don't necessarily want a brand everybody has or everybody's talking about, but they want a brand that's very much weighted heavily on quality. And that's what Moynat consistently delivers on. Let me know your thoughts on the hierarchy. Let me know your thoughts on the entire series in the comments down below. But do remember to share, like, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.